Hi. Hello. My name is Stephanie and welcome, or if you're coming back, welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here and I hope you're well. And today we're talking about Mayday Flowers by Fairy Sammy. Apologies for the pronunciation of their name if I got that wrong. Very, very mild spoilers for Mayday Flowers. This is going to be a mostly spoiler-free review because I want to heavily peer pressure you into reading this because spoilers for this review. I guess, but I love this book. But there is something I want to talk about that could possibly be a very, very mild spoiler, but I'll warn you when we get to it. And leave a time skip in the pinned comment, and this is usually the part where I'd give you the content warnings that might apply, but the author actually included one in the book, so I'm going to put their list on the screen with me. I like that. That's really cool. So let's talk about Mayday Flowers. Now, before we get to the technical stuff, because we're going to keep the formatting of the video the same, even though I'm not going into full unhinged spoilers, like I usually do, because you should go read this book. Seriously, go read it. Full disclosure on my end, I did receive an advanced reader copy of this book. My first ARC, ever actually, which I am very, very grateful for. The author popped up on my TikTok For You page, and I followed them because the videos of their art were just stunning and really, really cool. Put a pin in that because I'm going to definitely be coming back to the art. And when they were looking for ARC readers, I applied and got one. This isn't going to affect the review at all, and it isn't sponsored or anything like that. I just wanted to put it out there. And also, thank you, Fairy Sammy, because this was really, really cool. So now on to the technical stuff. And I'm going to start off with something I don't think I've talked about since I came back on here, but I want to talk about how this book is formatted. Like I said earlier, we've got a full list of content warnings, which I think is really cool, and honestly I appreciate because it makes less work for me. And as you can no doubt tell from the content warnings I showed you earlier, this book does contain some, well, for family-friendly reasons, we'll call it explicit content. And what's really cool, and I've never seen this before, the chapters with explicit content are marked in the table of contents with an underline. You can see it somewhere next to me. And when it starts to get explicit within said chapter, it's marked with this cute little rose, I think it's a rose, flower. Again, this is something that I appreciate because if that kind of thing isn't your thing, you can avoid it. But if it is your thing, you know where to go to. Like I said, I've never seen that in a book before, and I thought it was kind of neat. Now, the author, Fairy Sammy, in addition to writing the book, also did the illustrations, and the art in the book is absolutely beautiful. It has this soft, dreamy style that I absolutely adored. The nature art is great, and I love the character designs. Look at them. Look how beautiful they are. It was an absolute highlight when one popped up while I was reading. Look at them again. I love these two. So that's the formatting stuff. On to the technical stuff, finally. In my opinion, and as you can probably guess from the fact that I already told you that I liked it, I think Mayday Flowers is really well written. The prose is great. I really liked the dialogue. It was really solid and felt genuine, if that makes any sense. Does anything I say make any sense? And the pacing is really solid. It gets a little fast at the end, but honestly it evens out really quickly and fits with where the story was going, so it doesn't mess up the pacing of the book at all, in my opinion. I loved all the characters. They all had unique voices, and even the side characters were actually developed. I think this is part of what makes the pacing so solid, actually. I love the communication between Priscilla and Ainsley, our two romantic leads. One of my absolute pet peeves when it comes to romance novels, and I fully acknowledge that this is a me problem and probably an overly nitpicky one at that on my part, but it absolutely drives me nuts when the characters we're following in a love story just won't freaking talk to each other. Priscilla and Ainsley would never. That's all I'm saying. So that's the technical stuff. On to the story. Again, this is going to be a spoiler-free, save for one really minor thing that I'm going to warn you about when we get to it. So, let's get into it. So Mayday Flowers follows the romance between Ainsley, who is a dryad, which, to put it super-duper simply, is a nature spirit that lives in trees. In Ainsley's case, she lives in a birch tree. Ainsley is a non-binary character, but in their current incarnation, they're presenting more feminine and use she/her pronouns, so that's how I'm going to refer to them from this point on moving forward. Ainsley is very much tied to not just the birch tree, but to the entire forest and the community where it resides. She is the guardian and caretaker and cares very much for the community and the people within it. Typically, she awakens for a time, usually around May Day, May 1st, and then returns to the birch tree where she hibernates, is the best way I can describe it, and then the cycle begins again. However, as the years have gone by, and the implication is that Ainsley is possibly thousands of years old, if not older, the world and the community have begun to change. Now, make no mistake, this is very much a soft, cozy romantasy, but it also looks at the need for community and making those connections within it, something that has suffered under capitalism, and that's to say nothing of the harm that climate change has caused to her home. Not only that, Ainsley herself has suffered a terrible tragedy in her last incarnation, the last time she was awake. So when she went to sleep that last time in the 1980s, she thought she wasn't going to wake up, and is shocked to find that it's been decades since she last woke up, and also trying to grapple with the fact that there's a not insignificant chance that the next time she returns to the birch tree, she might not wake up. But she also very much still has friends who love her and miss her and want to celebrate her being back. I love that. We love friendship in this house. So, Ainsley, who lives in a gorgeous manor in the woods, that's my dream to be honest, decides to throw a May Day party to reconnect with her friends, community, and celebrate May Day and being back once again. So, at the recommendation of her friend Estelle, a witch married to a werewolf, which, again, I absolutely love, and who has some of the best dialogue in the book, other than Orion, who is Priscilla's friend. Seriously, she's hilarious and I love her. Ainsley hires someone to help put the party together. Enter Priscilla. Priscilla is an event planner with a really whimsical, cottagecore-esque style, if that makes sense. She fled an abusive home a few years earlier and has been making a life for herself with her chosen family. She's incredibly sweet and kind, but she's also still dealing with the effects of the abuse she suffered, and she struggles with her self-esteem and suffers from maladaptive dreaming, which she developed as a coping mechanism. And to give kudos where it's due, I like the way that both things were portrayed in the book. I can't speak to the accuracy of the way maladaptive dreaming is portrayed. I thought that Priscilla's struggles were presented with care, if that makes sense. I also really liked, and here's where the mild spoiler is going to come in, please see the time skip below. Okay, I'm going to assume everyone is gone. I really like that when Ainsley and Priscilla get together, don't know how much of a spoiler that is, given it's a romance novel, but just to be on the safe side. I really like that once they got together, that Priscilla and Ainsley weren't just magically healed. I love the power of love as much as the next person, but I don't like when it's used to fix, please imagine the air quote, characters. And I like that once they got together, all Ainsley and Priscilla's struggles didn't magically go away, but rather they had each other for support and comfort. But it also didn't sideline either of their friends and chosen family. The love that they had for each other and the people in their lives were presented as equally important in the narrative, and I love that. So Priscilla makes the journey to Ainsley's mansion for the consultation and catches a brief glimpse of her true dryad form before she takes on a more human appearance. While witches and werewolves and vampires exist alongside humans in this world, it's not something that's commonly known to everyone, and those of them that don't look human use glamours and other magic to blend in, but Priscilla catches a brief glimpse of her true form. And in a truly relatable moment in literature, rather than being scared, Priscilla is like, wow, that's so cool, also she's so pretty. She's just like me, for real. And the two of them feel this instant connection and attraction to each other. And thus begins our party planning, picnics, and falling in love. I'm going to leave you hanging here because you should go read this. Seriously, it's just such a soft, cute, funny, sweet romance. It's probably the best romance novel I've read so far this year. Seriously, go read it. Now it's time to get a bit overly sappy on my part. But it's my show, so that's what we're going to do. So I think about that quote from Hayao Miyazaki about how he portrays romance in his stories. I've become skeptical of the unwritten rule that just because a boy and a girl appear in the same feature, a romance must ensue. Rather, I want to portray a slightly different relationship, one where the two mutually inspire each other to live. If I'm able to, then perhaps I'll be closer to portraying a true expression of love. Probably more than is healthy for a person, but I also think it sums up why I love this book and this story and the characters as much as I did. I don't need to tell you that things are very not great right now. Life is hard. Sometimes it sucks, to be blunt about it. But when you find people you love and care about, and when they love and care about you, be that romantic or platonic love, it makes things a little less awful. And I love the way that Mayday Flowers shows that even though things seem bleak, and there are things and people that make them less bleak. And while things might be hard, they make things better. And I think that's kind of beautiful. I'm a sap. What do you want from me? So, final thoughts. Mayday Flowers good. Go read Mayday Flowers. All jokes aside, though, this is a really sweet, feel-good romance with gorgeous illustrations. Was that just an excuse to show them again? Yes, it was. Look at them. That is a quick, fun read, and you should check it out. Thanks again to Fairy Sammy for the arc, and until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. My cat must have really liked it too, because he keeps interrupting me while I'm trying to film. Mayday Flowers is good, right? Yeah, you heard it here. Carl liked it.